Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got J. Cole making waves on his own in the sneaker world, Anthony Edwards giving us more reasons to pay attention to his signature shoes, The Rock calling a dog a not so nice name to hilarious results, the week's hottest release, and of course, we have our Hard Pass. All right, let's start the show with some hot takes. A few days ago, J. Cole debuted his Dreamer Indy 5000. Now, I say debut in heavy quotes because this isn't the first time we've seen the Dreamer. It's been in the ether as far back as late 2022 because it was on the cover of NBA 2K23 Dreamer Edition. I'm assuming very few people caught that because most guessed that it was part of his next PUMA sneaker, Sorry. We're calling them PUMA now because we watched Lewis Hamilton's episode of Sneaker Shopping and he says it that way. And who are we to go against legit royalty? Anyway, the Indy 5000 is a runner with slight Nike LeBron icon vibes and a North Carolina flavor thanks to the blue, black, and white color scheme. But what is more interesting about the Dreamer is that it's not a collaboration with PUMA. It appears to be the debut release of a J. Cole-led independent sneaker brand. And based on the response so far, it looks like Cole could have a hit right out of the gate. It's garnering more hype than anything Cole did with PUMA, save for the first RS Dreamer basketball shoe. It also seems to be tracking better than Drake's current Noctis slate with Nike. And that's a good thing. We need this variety in the sneaker world from brands outside the same 4 or 5 that keep getting covered on the show and from creatives like J. Cole. Say what you want about his skills on the mic, but in the sneaker world, his presence and willingness to take this shot without the backing of his previous collaborator is kind of huge. All right, so Nike Air Max Day is coming this week, and while everybody is wondering whether the Nike Air Max DN will become the swoosh's next big Air Max sneaker, it's too early for me to make a call on that yet. The other Air Max product that is generating some buzz is the Nike Air Max 1 wallet. It's a wallet that looks like it was lifted directly from a piece of the Air Max 1 OG 86 Royal. Now, the buzz is not because Nike is dropping a wallet. It's because people are upset that Nike is allegedly stealing the designs of artists who have created sneaker wallets in the past. And hey, I get it. There are literally millions of products out there made by the big guys that directly lift from the ideas of creatives and don't get a penny for it. Here's my question though. Who started the sneaker wallet? Because every comment I've seen on social media is directing me to a different artist that has made a custom Nike sneaker wallet. Who did it first? Who should get credit? I'm all for finding out the person who did this, but I also want people to know this might not be the win that they think it is. And speaking of Air Max Day, another oddball way this holiday is being celebrated is with the auction for the domain airmax.com. That's right. According to Complex, the airmax.com domain has been owned by a Florida air conditioning company for over 30 years, and now they're cashing in via an auction beginning on March 26th, Air Max Day. Don't tell anybody, but Co-Writer is going to bid on the domain. He figures $50.01 should be enough. Why 1 cent? Of course, everyone's asking that question because that's what he does on eBay to annoy other bidders who found out they lost an auction by 1 cent. Look, never stop being a prick, Co-Writer. Never stop. Anyway, Anthony Edwards has been balling out ever since he debuted his signature shoe, the Adidas AE1, and in the latest example that he might have the most buzzworthy debut sneaker since maybe the Under Armour Curry 1 or even the Nike Zoom generation, he unleashed a frontrunner dunk of the year candidate in the new Georgia Red Clay colorway. And look, I get it. His hand didn't touch the rim, so maybe calling it a dunk is a stretch. But if I'm John Collins, the poor dude who Edwards yammed on, I'm telling everybody that it was a soul-snatching dunk of the millennium. Think about it. Collins had to leave the game because he suffered a head contusion as a result of that dunk/shot. It sounds way cooler if Collins got hurt on a viral dunk that will be played back for generations to come instead of a layup. And on the heels of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Eggplant returning once again, the Nike LeBron 4 is also releasing an Eggplant as well. I could be wrong, and there's a rarely seen sample out there, but outside of the triple black/anthracite colorway that I don't think counts, this is the first time we're getting a LeBron 4 that copies a classic Foamposite colorway. And considering LeBron's admiration of Penny Hardaway, that's kinda cool. I gotta say, as somebody who's not really into foams, they did a good job with this one. Like, I could see this becoming a whole new lane for the LeBron 4. Maybe we get an OG Royal Blue homage soon, or even crazier, a Galaxy LeBron 4. Hey, actually, cut the check, Nike. You know where I live. No, seriously, you have my address and basically all of my info. So just call me. We can collaborate. So more Nike Kobe's are on the way, and hopefully this will finally satisfy the demand. First up is a set of Kobe 18 Bank colorways that are set to drop later this year. They may not have the fancy nicknames or the callbacks to hype Kobe's of the past, but these Team Bank colorways were the ones that I saw the most during Bryant's playing days. Kobe's might be desired by collectors and hypebeasts and degenerate resellers nowadays, but when the Kobe 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 were the current model, the Team Bank colorways were it, because they were the choice of hoopers and real Kobe fans. It's time we get back to that. And then there's the X-Ray colorway that Vanessa Bryant showed off that I'm sure had nothing but positive responses from the community. Just kidding. It was gross and crass comments once again. And this is your regular reminder to not be like those people and to direct your anger towards John Donahoe and Nike. Make more Kobe Protros, John Donahoe. All right. For the pick of the week, I feel like we should pick the Air Max wallet because that's honestly getting more chatter than the Air Max DN, but we're not going to do that. Here's the rundown of all the Air Max DN colorways dropping on Air Max Day. They all drop on the 26th for $160. So there's Volt, there's Sail Coconut, there's Anthracite, there's Light Orwood Brown, there's Pure Platinum, there is Triple Black colorway, there is a White and Blue Void, there is an All Day, there is an All Night, there is a White and Metallic Silver, and finally, there is a Panda. Again, March 26th, $460. Before we move on to the hard pass, let's talk about The Rock calling a dog a shithead. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Anyways, during one of his many brilliant promos on social media to hype up his Night 1 WrestleMania 40 tag team match between himself and Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, The Rock had what we would call one of his funniest all-time bars, but probably for the wrong reasons. See, for all the junk that we give The Rock on this show, we do not deny that he is one of the greatest talkers on the microphone that the world of professional wrestling has ever seen. His sharp wit and ability to read an audience is his greatest talent because we all know that Rocky ain't exactly one to put on a 5-star clinic in the ring. However, it's also fair to say that since he stopped doing the wrestling thing full-time in the early 2000s, he has been a full-blown nostalgia act anytime he makes a return to promote a movie or a tequila or an energy drink or a skincare product. On the one hand, it's good because anytime he comes back, people are going to lose their minds when they hear that music. On the other hand, it's bad because the promos aren't always hot. Look, by sheer force of nature, The Rock can make any crowd buy into what he's saying. But if you think about his promos for more than 2 seconds, the jokes don't often land, or they sound too rehearsed, or there's a tendency to go back to the well too often. We even saw it during the first few weeks of his comeback in January. He was good on the mic, no doubt, but there was something missing. This wasn't Miami LeBron, our first repeat MJ, or Kobe scoring 60 points at will. It was Lakers LeBron, or Wizards MJ, or Kobe after he tore his Achilles. Thankfully, a Rikishi-sized pivot led to Rock getting his groove back, and brother, it has been amazing to watch. The more he embraced his role as the final boss of WWE, the better he got on the mic. Sadly, the constraints of network television and a fear of alienating potential customers to products he might be shilling meant he couldn't use some of his most savage lines in front of a live audience. However, the benefit of having one of the biggest followings on social media means he can cut loose and really lay into Cody and Seth without worrying about sponsors. Which brings us to Pharaoh. If you don't know, Pharaoh is Cody's dog, a white Siberian husky. Spoiler alert, Pharaoh is a good boy. He's been with Cody in the Indies, in AEW, and a few months ago, he made his debut in WWE. As part of his storyline accusation that Cody took things too far when he disrespected The Rock and Roman Reigns' family as he took his main event spot back, Rocky has subtly been dissing the Rhodes family. Not Dusty Rhodes, no. Everybody loves the late Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest of all time. Even Rocky knows he can't disrespect Dusty. Yet. But he can pick on Cody's mom and the rest of the Rhodes family, including Pharaoh. See, it started with Rocky calling Pharaoh a goofy-ass dog in his IG promos. I mean, sure, go ahead. Goofy-ass dog could be interpreted as less of an insult and more of a character trait. Like, maybe Rock saw Pharaoh do something goofy on Cody's social. And really, who hasn't seen their good boy or good girl get goofy once in a while? Cody responded in kind by saying to keep Pharaoh out of his mouth. But then, The Rock, with a cowboy hat for some reason, dropped a line that we will never forget.
Pharaoh, Hey, Pharaoh. Hey, Pharaoh. Don't call that dog Pharaoh. Call him head.
Like, who calls a dog a shithead? Who does that? We've all heard a dog be called a bonehead or knucklehead or whatever silly name you can come up with, but Ed, man, Rock really thought he had another know your role or it doesn't matter or Rudy Poo candy ass with that one. You know what shithead reminds us of? Stone Cold Steve Austin and Al Pacino. Let me explain. First, Stone Cold Steve Austin's star-making Austin 3:16 promo. If you watch that clip back, you'll see that Austin pauses right before he says, Austin 3:16 says I whipped your ass. It's like he knew he was about to deliver a killer line before he said it. The second is courtesy of Al Pacino. Again, bet you didn't see this one coming.
Great ass! And you got your head all the way up it!
Like Austin, Pacino was in a zone, and right before he delivers the knockout line, he pauses for a beat and then delivers the drop. What makes it even better is that you can see he's about to mouth big, but pauses for a nanosecond, pivots, and comes up with an even better way to describe a woman's features. So, maybe The Rock was channeling his longtime rival and BFFF, Stone Cold, as he called Pharaoh, a shithead. Or maybe he remembered that Pacino line in acting class and pivoted out of something else before coming up with head. Or maybe, and this is most likely, his team of writers were so scared to come up with something even mildly offensive to call a dog that they settled on head. And that pause The Rock took was one of his, I can't believe I'm about to say this, please don't hate me, dog people, buy my skincare products. And because of that, we now have head, something nobody ever in the history of dogs has ever called a dog before, as an unintentionally classic courtesy of the People's Champ. Anyway, much like The Rock segments on TV, that probably ran a little long, so let's just jump into this week's Hard Pass. All right, it's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like layoffs in the video game industry. Really, it's all layoffs, but we're sticking with the video games with a sprinkle of movie and sneaker talk too. All right. 2023 was a rough year for the creators behind your favorite video games. I mean, it was great for the C-suite who didn't face consequences for their bad decisions and for gamers because a murderer's row of instant classics dropped that year. But for people who actually make the games that we play, there's no way to sugarcoat it other than it sucked ass. According to The Verge, around 9,000 employees were let go at video game companies, big and small. Studios responsible for some of the best games ever made were shut down, while others that thought being embraced by a conglomerate would keep them safe were sadly wrong. Even Epic Games, the company that gave you the real metaverse, aka Fortnite, had to lay off nearly 1,000 people last year. Now, you're probably wondering, how the hell is it that Epic is losing money even though Fortnite is a perpetual money-generating machine that brings in billions in revenue? Well, according to CEO Tim Sweeney, it's because they spend more money than they earn. Well, damn. How very college dropout Kanye of you, Tim. Like, did he have a couple past due bills and won't get specific? I guess Timmy got a problem with spending before he gets it, like buying up Bandcamp in 2022 and then shutting it down along with layoffs a year later, or giving away games for free and signing exclusivity deals to encourage people to ditch their large Steam library for the Epic Games Store. To be fair, some of the moves Epic was making was necessary in order to drive signups and create competition in a space that Steam has dominated for a long time. But because there's a lack of patience and a mandate to please shareholders who only care about graphs that go up and to the right, bets that don't result in immediate growth are seen as failures. And what's the best way to cut costs real quick so that the chart keeps going up and to the right? Lay off the most vulnerable, of course. Instead of encouraging a little bit of patience, companies like Epic, EA, Microsoft, and many others gutted their workforce for short-term gain. Not saying that layoffs should be off the table, but it should never be the first option, especially when it's just to juice profits. Look, we're not business people by any stretch. We're not out here living like Leo and Wolf of Wall Street. But from our vantage point, it looks like a lot of these CEOs gobbled up all of the money they were making during the pandemic when everybody was home playing video games and wanted more, instead of realizing that a moment like that wasn't going to last forever. Hi, vaccines. They thought the money train was going to keep on rolling like Limp Bizkit. Sorry, I've been in my early 2000s bag on the playlist this week. Anyway, so couple that with interest rates being obscenely low, and you had a lot of very rich and supposedly smart people making head decisions like scaling up to unsustainable levels and making bets that they could be the next Fortnite. See, Rocky? That's how you properly deploy the term. Think about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Marvel's Avengers. Both games featured interesting premises with flawed but compelling single-player campaigns. If they had just focused on polishing those single-player modes, I think gamers would have accepted them for what they are. Solid 15 to 20 hour experiences worth the $70 price tag and maybe some DLC down the line. But because Warner Brothers and Square Enix saw the Fortnite bag, they bloated their games with unnecessary live service nonsense that turned off a lot of the potential audience. Another one of those bad bets was this notion that games have to keep getting bigger and more elaborate and more expensive to make in order to satisfy customers. Like, yeah, we want our Cyberpunks and Starfields to push the limits of our boxes, but to pad them with pluff that inorganically raises their hour count just leads to dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, the most popular games of 2024 so far are Palworld, aka Pokemon with guns, but not really, and Helldivers 2, a budget-priced title with killer multiplayer and a funny story. And then there's Co-Writer, burning hours on a $15 poker-adjacent game called Balatro that I'm purposely avoiding because it looks deviously addicting. I can't spend half of my day trying to figure out why buying polychrome jokers on the first ante is overrated and 2 pairs are worth more than a flush. What? Anyway, now, are those games going to bring in the same money as a Spider-Man 2 or a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Probably not. But then again, Sony reportedly has not broken even with Spider-Man 2, a game that has sold 10 million copies, but also costs $300 million to make. Let that sink in. An excellent sequel to a game where most of the gameplay mechanics and half of the map are being reused for the third time since 2018 still costs $300 million to make and has not broken even. Now, that's not to say Spider-Man 2 won't end up being profitable in the long run, but that kind of tightrope is not sustainable. And for every Spider-Man 2 that will eventually end up being a success, there's a Forspoken or a Redfall or a Skull and Bones that some executive will unironically call a quadruple A game because they cost so much to make and fail to find an audience. And then there are the games that do sell big numbers, but because the company has out of whack expectations, they're still not enough. Remember Sleeping Dogs? It was a very good open world game during the PS3 era. It sold a few million copies. It was a failure, according to publisher Square Enix. Hitman Absolution, which paved the way for the now legendary Hitman World of Assassination trilogy, bombed despite also selling millions. Tomb Raider reboot, also a dud, with millions sold. They sold and made money for Square Enix, but not enough apparently because those IPs have all been sold off. And who takes the fall when they fail? The people at the bottom. Okay, so now this is the part of the bit where we make an impossible pivot to J. Cole and Kyrie Irving. Wait, just hear me out. With the Dreamer Indy 5000, Cole is attempting to do what we all kind of thought Kyrie was going to do when he left Nike, and that was to build an independent sneaker brand. Irving ended up signing with Anta, and so far, he's been able to quiet some of the criticism by releasing a shoe that people are hot for and at a price point that works for the budget conscious. It didn't go the way that we thought it would, but Kyrie in his own way manifested a hit without the help from Nike or Adidas or PUMA or Under Armour. Anta is a big company, no doubt, but they've never made a dent here in the US. Meanwhile, Cole, with his Dreamer brand, could be on the verge of something special, building a new hype sneaker from seemingly nothing. Yes, whatever sales the Anta Kai 1 or the Dreamer Indy 5000 will eventually earn won't compare to what a Jordan Retro or a Nike LeBron, but now consumers potentially have 2 new signature shoe lines from brands outside the mainstream to choose from. Cole and Kyrie are like the Balatro of video games. You didn't see them coming, and now they're just as valid as a LeBron or a Harden or a Curry. So, let's get back to video games. In 2013, Nintendo famously refused to lay off employees when they were faced with the pathetic sales of their new console, the Wii U. If Nintendo was like Microsoft or Epic Games or any of these other companies who callously let go of their people, heads would have rolled ASAP. Instead, Nintendo executives took a pay cut in order to save jobs because they didn't want their employees worrying about their paychecks. Nah, they wanted them worrying about making the next game. And I'm guessing those same people whose jobs Nintendo saved ended up making The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. A big fear during this run of layoffs is that there will be a talent drain because none of these people might want to take another video game industry job. We're going to be deprived of the next Helldivers or Balatro or even Fortnite level hit because some finance bros looked at a spreadsheet and determined who was expendable instead of looking in the mirror. Look, we don't want this bit to be a condemnation of capitalism, although it has proven to be quite a crappy thing as it turns out. This is more about resetting the expectation in the game industry. When Cord Jefferson accepted his Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for the movie American Fiction, he pleaded with Hollywood to scale back a little. Jefferson understands the need for movies with a $200 million budget, but when that's all Hollywood does, it leaves out people like him. Not only that, when those $200 million movies fail, there aren't a lot of executives out there who are willing to do what Nintendo did. So instead of a $200 million movie that's destined to fail, let's just say Snyderverse, make 10, $20 million movies, and maybe one of them is the next American Fiction or Balatro or Dreamer Indy 5000. Wishing that video games could go back to the PS2 era where underrated gems have yet to be unearthed to this day is an impossible hope. But an era where Helldivers 2 and Balatro are the norm, while games like the next Halo or Final Fantasy are given the time in the oven to fully develop, would not be so bad. Let me know what you guys think. All right, that's gonna do it for the show. Thank you for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before we leave you with a viewer Hard Pass.
How you doing, Jacques? My name is Richard. Instagram name PAA_NII_, and I want to give a hard pass to all of these sneaker companies because I feel like they're slowly starting to get rid of bigger sizes, specifically size 15. I wear a size 15, and I know that a lot of people do, especially like NBA players and stuff, so I think it's weird that they don't at least have sneakers going up to that size anymore because it makes me feel segregated from the sneaker community. Like, I feel like there's a lot of sneakers that I want to get and they don't go up to that size anymore, and it sucks because now I got to pay buku amounts of money because they only make like one size and the one that's available isn't for the public. All right, that's my hard take. Thank you so much. Hard pass, sorry. Thank you so much.
If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.